Hello everyone. Size exclusion chromatography explanation has been started and introduction has been given in the last video, but at the end, due to some reasons, the video has stopped. So just let me explain the chromatogram again. The reference has been cited from Journal of Chromatography in the year 1976, and the four proteins to be separated were blue dextran, albumin, cytochrome C and glycyl phenylalanine. This technique has taken only a couple of minutes to separate all these four proteins, which would either take about many hours from the conventional chromatographic techniques. The first compound to get eluted is a blue dextran. Because of its larger size, it has eluted first, but as time proceeds, we can see that the glycyl phenylalanine, which is a smaller in size protein, has eluted at the end. This has taken just about 2 minutes of time. So this is how size exclusion chromatography can discriminate various molecules depending on their sizes, or which is again related to their molecular weights. Now let's start with the instrumentation part. Well, here is the instrumentation for size exclusion chromatography. This technique, it is essentially, we call it as a specialized isocratic HPLC technique. When we say isocratic, it is because the concentration of the, or not, instead of concentration, we say the composition of the solvent remains unchanged. Had it been a gradient elution, the composition of the mobile phase keeps on changing. So this was just a liquid chromatographic technique as we discussed, and within the instrumentation we can see that there is a solvent reservoir which can take about 1 to 4 liters of the mobile phase. So it has a capacity of about 1 to 4 liter, and this is filled with size exclusion chromatographic mobile phase, so we call it as a mobile phase reservoir. There is also a passage of helium gas which is passing, so that degassing can be done. We call the process as sparging. So sparging can be done with the help of the helium, or it can also be done by treating with ultrasonically, so that once degassing process is occurred, there are no air bubbles within the mobile phase, because once the air bubbles are present, these air bubbles can enter into the column and also it can go into the detector. So this will create some interferences in our experiment. So the first process that we have to start with is sparging, so that all the air bubbles are removed from the mobile phase. So once the air bubbles are removed, now this mobile phase will pass on towards the column through a very high pressure pump. Here we can see a high pressure pump. This is capable of operating at pressures over 6000 psi. So it is a very high pressure pump. Now this will force the mobile phase through a pulse dampener, and also we can see an inline filter. So through this pulse dampener and inline filter, slowly the mobile phase will enter into the sample injector. So here we can see the sample injector where the sample can be injected, but before the sample is injected, the analyte has to be dissolved into the mobile phase. Whichever mobile phase that we are choosing, this same mobile phase is to be used to dissolve our sample. Only then the sample can be introduced. Once the sample is introduced, then it is taken into the pre-column. We also call it as a guard column, because this will protect the main column from impurities, and also it will saturate the mobile phase before entering into this analytical or the main column. Right. So once the sample is slowly taken into the analytical column from the pre-column, we call it as a guard column. It is here where the discrimination of the molecules occur. Discrimination in the sense, suppose if our analyte is having two different molecules, one of a smaller size and another of a larger size. Here the discrimination process will occur. Larger sized molecule cannot stay in the pores of the stationary phase. Therefore, as it cannot stay, it starts eluting first. But the smaller sized molecule, because of its small size, it can settle into the pores of the stationary phase, and it will take certain time for its elution, so it will elute later. So this is how the discrimination process occur within the stationary phase of the column. All this is present in a thermostated oven, though our experiment is mostly temperature independent, but at some temperature is maintained due to the detectors. We'll just come to it. So whatever analyte components that are separated through these columns, then they slowly get into the detector. Here the detector given is a DRI detector, which is a refractive index detector, where an electrical signal will come out, and this electrical signal, it will be proportional to the sample concentration. Whatever sample that is coming out instantaneously, that electrical signal will be directly related to that. So we call it as electrical signal proportional to the instantaneous sample concentration. So finally that sample as well as the mobile phase will come out of the detector, and then it will go into a waste container. So whatever electrical signal that is coming out from this detector, it is transmitted to a integrator, recorder or computer, and finally it will go for the further processing, where we get information of the analyte components that are present. So just a few points about the detector. The most common type of the detector that is used is a DRI. DRI refer to differential refractive index detector, DRI. This is called as a universal detector. We call it as a universal detector because it has a ability to respond to all type of chemical functionalities. There are few detectors which are very selective, but this detector can detect almost every chemical functionality. Therefore we call it as a universal detector. Our size exclusion chromatography, as I said, it is temperature independent technique, but the DRI detector, it is highly temperature sensitive because refractive index strongly depend on temperature. So for that reason we can use a thermostated oven. Apart from DRI, there are also some concentration detectors such as ultraviolet and infrared detectors, but these two, UV as well as IR detectors, they are not universal detectors. They respond according to the functionalities, functional groups or the chromophores that are present in the analyte mixture. Apart from UV and IR, there are also some other detectors such as fluorescence, dielectric constant detector, flame ionization detector, and evaporative light scattering detectors, and some other detectors come for the analyzing of the components. So this is how the size exclusion chromatographic instrument works, and how the analyte components, once they enter into the column, they get separated, what is the principle behind it, and what are the different types of stationary phases that are used will be discussed in my next video. Thank you.